Salve, discipuli. All right, we are on lesson 59. That's one lesson away from lesson 60, which is the final lesson for the year, which means we are dangerously close to the summer. Okay? Now, in the summer, I know you're going to read a lot of Latin. So, you got to pay special attention to lesson 59 because there's a really important concept that actually shows up a lot. They save this to the very end. I'm not sure why, but it's a very, very common thing. What we're going to learn about are what are called gerundives. Now, your textbook calls them future passive participles. We're going to know them as gerundives. And the reason we're going to call them gerundives is because the ND letter combination right here is going to actually help you recognize them. Okay, and there's no ND over here. ND right here will help you recognize these constructions. So, excuse me. All right. So here we go. Here's what gerundives look like. If you have a verb occupo, occupare, occupavi, occupatum, which means to seize, the gerundive form looks like this: occupandus aum. Okay? I'm not really worried if you guys know how we formed it. It's not that important, honestly. But you can clearly recognize it with the ND. And the fact that it has an us ending tells you that it is basically a first and second declension form. Okay? For a second conjugation verb like video, videre, vidivisum, it will be formed like this: videndus aum. Pretty similar, right? See the ND, see the us aum. For a third conjugation verb, lego, legere, legilectum, it will look like this: legendus aum. Note the ND, note the us aum. First and second declension pattern. You'll notice I'm not saying, hey, here's how we form these, because you don't have to know. I'm just giving you a chance to see the different possible forms. For a third conjugation I stem, capio, capere, capicaptum, we get capiendus aum. Note the ND, note the us aum. And finally, for fourth conjugation, I'll bet some of you could even guess this without any help. Munio, munire, munivi, munitum gives us muniendus aum. Note the ND, note the us aum. Okay? Now, the basic translation for this form is a verbing. Okay? There are some variations, but that's the basic message I want you to walk away with. This would be capturing, seeing, reading, also capturing, this means seizing, right? This is capturing, and fortifying. There's the basic idea. Now, hopefully you've taken notes just on what these forms look like. That's all you need. So what do these forms look like? Here's first conjugation, second, third I stem, fourth. Now, on this next stuff, you need to take some solid notes. We're going to look at some uses of the gerundive. The gerundive is not a sentence by itself. These are just phrases. Okay? Here's one possible use. The Romans will use the word causa or gratia in this form that you see right here. One of these words plus a genitive case gerundive and a genitive case noun to express this idea for the sake of verbing the noun. Let me show you an example. Causa occupandi opedi. See how these are genitive? This means for the sake of capturing the town. Okay? That's how they express for the sake of capturing the town. This is not a complete sentence. It is just a phrase. So be aware that causa or gratia plus a genitive equals for the sake of verbing the noun. Here's another possibility. They might have a dative gerundive and a dative noun. This is simply translated to or for verbing the noun. Here's an example. Legendo libro. Okay? This is not a complete sentence. Maybe the complete sentence says something like, we pay attention, legendo libro. We pay attention to reading a book. Okay? Or we give much effort to reading a book. Okay? This is actually not all that common. So the dative one's not so important. But to or for verbing the noun is the idea. Third of four possibilities is to have the preposition odd plus an accusative gerundive and a noun in the accusative. This expresses for the purpose of verbing the noun. Literally, it means toward verbing the noun. That shows purpose, for the purpose of verbing the noun. Here's an example. Ad inveniendam pecuniam. Note these are both accusative. Note this is a gerundive. This means for the purpose of finding money. Literally, it's towards finding money. For the purpose of finding money. Okay? And our last use, and then we'll be done for now, you could have an ablative gerundive and an ablative noun. And you would translate this by verbing the noun. For example, gerendo bello, by waging war. In other words, we could say something like, by waging war, they gained more territory. And that would be your ablative gerundive. Okay, so here are the four possible uses of the gerundive that we care about right now. And this is all I need you to have written down for tomorrow. Okay, hopefully that makes some sense. Obviously, we'll cement this tomorrow. Wa'alaita, Discipuli.